Speaking of color of skin, white gas bag Jeff Pearlman. Now, I'll give Jeff Pearlman credit. Wrote a pretty good series called Winning Time. It didn't get picked up. He was online begging, and I mean begging for people to watch. Somehow, some way, Jeff Pearlman is a thing, I guess. He came at me one time, and I'm like, oh, it's Jeff Pearlman. I mean, he's an unhappy loser. He's mad about something. Who cares? But he came at Stephen A. Smith. He came at Stephen A. Smith for his latest appearance on Hannity's show on Fox News. Then the statement is, why does he have to, Stephen A. Smith, have to have an opinion on everything? Well, I'll tell you why, because he's asked. I mean, if Stephen A. Smith's opinions weren't interesting, nobody would ask. If Stephen A. Smith's opinions didn't have value in the broadcast world, no one would ask. But people ask. Nobody's going to ask Jeff Pearlman because he's just an angry white guy. He is. He's just an angry white guy. He made his name ripping on John Rocker back in the day. He made his name doing, I don't even know what. Writes books. I guess he's a good writer. I've never read him. But Winning Time was pretty good. But Jeff Pearlman, here's the answer. Stephen A. Smith has to have an opinion on everything because he's asked his opinion on everything. Here's what Pearlman had to say.
So I did an earlier video
about
Stephen A. Smith.
Had to
then
say.
I took it down because I didn't feel like that I conveyed it correctly. And really what I want to say is, why do you have to have an opinion about everything? Like, why are you, Stephen A. Smith, successful by all measures? Why are you going on Fox News? Why are you going on Hannity? And why are you comparing Trump's legal situation to that of the plight of black Americans? It's insane. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And if you did some research into Trump, and I wrote the book about the USFL, I know a lot about Donald Trump and his history. There is no comparison to be made. Black people are shit on over and over and over again. And here's this guy, Donald Trump, and I'm just being honest here. When the Central Park Five were exonerated, he continued to call for their death penalty and refused to accept it. I mean, he's a bad guy. When he had Queens housing, he limited the amount of available units for blacks. Not a good guy. So stop talking like you know, because you actually don't know in this subject.
Well, only Jeff Pearlman knows because 30 years ago he wrote a book. 40 years ago he wrote a book. I mean, of course he knows. You know, Donald Trump was never considered racist, at least by the powers to be in the African-American community, till he ran for president. Here's what Stephen A. Smith had to say that pissed off Jeff Pearlman on Hannity.
When I think about Donald Trump, I think about this case in New York. I mean, I'm looking at the Democrats right now. And again, primarily, I have voted Democrat throughout my life, but I'm utterly disgusted with what I'm seeing because it seems to me that they're trying to use the law in the courts. They've clearly politicized this thing with Donald Trump because they can't come up with a strategy to offset the momentum he's clearly gained. In at least 5 polls, he's up. He's up in the polls over Biden, at least 5 polls that I counted. That's the reality of the situation. Despite the counts against them, the indictments against them, being impeached twice and all of this other stuff, he is the presumptive GOP nominee. And you don't seem to have the issues in your favor, you believe. So because of that, you're going to manipulate the system as best as you possibly can to avoid him possibly running for re-election again. That appears to be their strategy, but I'm here to tell you, it's not working.
Of course it's not working. I mean, whether or not some white guy like Jeff Pearlman gets mad about Stephen A. Smith saying that, what did he say that was wrong? He said right there, their strategy is to basically put him in jail and not talk about the issues. And boy, does that piss liberals like Pearlman and others off. Boy, does that piss the liberal media off that can't see straight even a little bit. See, you know, I'm not saying Donald Trump or Joe Biden's any good. I mean, the racist rants by Joe Biden back in his day are legendary. I mean, but Pearlman's not going to mention that, of course, because they have that syndrome. What is it? Donald Trump syndrome or Trump derangement syndrome. They're all out of their minds over Trump, but it wasn't always that way. I mean, the woods is full of pictures with every African-American leader across the country taking pictures with Trump. Why? Because he gave them all money. Trump was the go-to. Hey, Donald, we're running for this. Hey, Donald, we're protesting this. Hey, Donald, we're doing this. Do I think Donald Trump is a bad guy who has done bad things? Absolutely. I mean, all you got to do is know anything about businessmen in the 70s and 80s, and of course. But I don't get my morality. Not even once or twice from politicians. Maybe Pearlman does. Maybe he gets his morality from politicians. I don't. I mean, we've let the most dirt bag of people, Bobby Kennedy. I'm sorry, JFK, Bobby Kennedy. JFK, stooping everything that walks. Yeah, we're getting our morality from him. Ronald Reagan, child please. I mean, George Bush Sr. with a 50-year affair with some woman. George Bush Jr., the cokehead who became president. Don't even get me started on the Clintons. I got a neighbor, I've told you before, is first cousins to Bill Clinton. And every year they come in, the Clintons, not Bill, the family, and they tell stories about how Bill couldn't even be left in a room when he was a young man with cousins that were female. I don't get mine, and I never will get my morality from politicians. And Smith is right. You can't beat Trump on the issues. You telling me the border's secure? You're telling me crime is down? You're telling me prices are down? No, Biden's telling us that, but Biden's sitting there lying. Look, if Jeff Pearlman and others are so freaking just pissed off and going to vote morality, well, part of morality is not being a liar. And all you got to do is open up any app on any day, and you're going to see that Joe Biden lies through his freaking teeth. And one of the other things you're going to see, and we just saw it. Now, an uncle was eaten by cannibals. That's right. An uncle, according to Joe Biden, was shot down and eaten by cannibals. They never found the body. Now, where the hell does that come from? That comes from an evil, ridiculous mind. So, if you got Biden and you got Trump, morality ain't in play, boys and girls. It just isn't. And certainly race isn't in play because nobody's been more pandering, nobody's been more racist in the history of modern politics than Joe Biden, period. I'm not here to defend Trump, and I'm not here to defend Stephen A. Smith, but damn, these liberals, they sure get their morality from presidents, from politicians when it comes to very popular, very successful in what they did. The border was shut down. The economy was rolling. Prices were down. Putin wasn't doing nothing. Iran and Iraq scared to death to even make a move. Compare that with now. That's what Stephen A. Smith's saying. Stephen A. Smith is saying, look, if you just go by the damn policies and performance, it ain't close. It ain't close. But guys like Jeff Pearlman, media like Jeff Pearlman, they want to get their morality. Really? I mean, didn't Joe Biden cheat with Jill when they were both married? Isn't that what happened, or is that just made up? Or we don't report that because, well, it's a liberal, and that's what we expect. I just can't stand when people backtrack from comments that they know to be true. You know, Stephen A. Smith, a couple days ago, came out in support of Donald Trump. He basically said, look, Donald Trump is facing what African Americans has faced in these bogus trials, made up charges, trumped up prosecutors, jacked up lawyers, full of shit judges. I mean, he said basically that. The NAACP came at him. I'm sure PR people came at him. I'm sure the African American community PR people came at him. And he had a backtrack. Let's hear from Stephen A. Smith.
I'm fully aware that I've been in the news over the last few days, paraded all over social media as well, after comments I made during my appearance on Fox News' Hannity last week with the one and only Sean Hannity himself. And I'm fully aware of the outcry that has ensued because of it. A lot of folks in Black America seem pretty pissed at me right now, from friends and loved ones to colleagues, contemporaries, and dare I say even the NAACP itself. Quite a few folks were put off, if not flat out offended, after my words were interpreted as associating support for Trump from the Black community with all the legal issues he's facing. For that, I sincerely apologize. To be clear, my words were misconstrued. I'm stating right here for the record that my words were taken out of context, misrepresenting and depicting me in a way I found every bit as insulting and disrespectful as folks in Black America evidently felt about what they thought I said. but I'll own it anyway. Because please know that I know the buck stops with me.
What a bunch of bullshit. Oh, man, you got to give Stephen A. credit, man. He knows his audience. He knows talking that tone, the buck stops with me, throw a bunch of bullshit out, and next thing, okay, so what'd you actually mean? All right, what did you actually mean? I mean, you're saying it misconstrued. What did you actually mean? I mean, I don't know. If you said, as much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because of what he is going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, court system, and everything else being exercised against them, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. That's what you said. So how is that misconstrued? I mean, the NAACP, relatable? Show of hands, anyone in your black family have 88 felony charges pending, filed for bankruptcy 6 times, made an attempt to well, they're full of shit here. Yeah, honest to God. So what'd you mean? He just talks. He gives you that Camilla Harris, I'm serious, I'm going to act angry word salad, and the buck stops here. I'm a victim here. You're not a victim. He said what he said. Okay, I simply asked, what did you mean? Not a tough question. What did you mean when you said Donald Trump was relatable? I mean, you didn't really apologize. You said you own it or whatever. Can you play that again? Can you guys play that again for me real quick?
I'm fully aware that I've been in the news over the last few days, paraded all over social media as well.
I'm a victim
after
here.
Comments I made during my appearance on Fox News' Hannity last week with the one and only Sean Hannity himself. And I'm fully aware of the outcry that has ensued because of it. A lot of folks in black America seem pretty pissed at me right now, from friends and loved ones to colleagues, contemporaries, and dare I say even the NAACP itself.
Dare you say it.
Quite a few folks were put off, if not flat out offended, after my words were interpreted as associating support for Trump from the black community with all the legal issues he's facing. For that, I sincerely apologize. To be clear, my words were misconstrued. I'm stating right here for the record that my words were taken out of context, misrepresenting and depicting me in a way I found every bit as insulting and disrespectful as folks in black America evidently felt about what they thought I said. But I'll own it anyway.
Oh,
because
what a great man.
Please know
what
that I know
man.
the buck stops
You know
with me.
that I know. Yeah, it does. So what'd you mean? I mean, the words, it's like Charles Barkley saying he got misquoted in his own book. I mean, what'd you mean? What did you mean, Stephen A. Smith, when you said, as much as people may have been abhorred, loved Stephen A. Smith, by Donald Trump's statement, talking about how black folks, he's hearing from black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because of what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying. Well, he wasn't lying. So you're saying he is relatable. You're saying he is going through what black folks are going through. Then he adds he was telling the truth. So what's misconstrued about that? You know, nobody's going to say what I'm saying right here. Nobody is. But I would argue what's misconstrued. I'm genuinely curious. What is misconstrued when you say he was telling the truth? Then he adds, when you see the law enforcement and court system and everything else being exercised against them, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to. So what do you, what? You just, but he throws out these words, acts as a victim, and basically everybody else genuflects as some clown on TV. And that's it. Black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. All right. What'd you mean? You didn't mean he's relatable? Well, you said it. You're not apologizing for what you're saying. It's misconstrued. Okay. Yeah, it's amazing. It is literally amazing where ESPN has gone with this. ESPN is the wild, wild west. I mean, guys can come on there and BS and act stupid and say dumb things and then make up a ridiculous excuse for it, as long as you play the victim. Well, as long as you're not a middle-aged white guy either, but as long as you play the victim. I've been dragged through social media. Oh, really? Oh, no fault of your own. It's everybody else's fault. I'm surprised he didn't mention the white media. It's not his fault. It can't be Stephen A. Smith's fault. It can't be the words that he actually said, which I'm reading from the Charlotte Observer. It can't be that. I was misconstrued. But make no mistake, I'm brave. I am brave, damn it. And the buck stops here because I'm a victim, but I'm brave and I'm tough and I'm standing up. What a load of shit. You just got fed a load of complete shit. I don't care what he said. It doesn't matter to me whether the black community's mad at Stephen A. Smith, the white community's with Stephen A. Smith. It doesn't matter to me whether Stephen A. Smith says that Donald Trump is relatable, not relatable, Dan Dakich is a jerk, is good, is bad, whatever. It does not matter to me. But you just kind of get tired of the bullshit. You do. I mean, let's be honest. You just kind of do. You kind of get tired of the victimhood. You get tired of I'm a hero for standing up to victimhood. Nobody created this but you. And then others saw it, called you out on it, and then you folded like a wimp. You folded up shop. That's all. Nobody from ESPN told you to apologize. You saw a little criticism. You had to figure out how to dig yourself out. You went victim, and then you went hero. That's smart. It's a lesson for every single person out there that has the media completely in pocket and afraid of you. Go victim, and then go hero. No, that's a good move. It's a really good move. It's a funny move. It's a fun move. It's a ridiculous move, but it's the kind of move that we are in our world.